so we'll get started with the plant forum. Thanks, Beryl, Charlotte, Kristen, Judy, Anne, and I added a few of my own in there. And I'll encourage everybody to share for next month if you can. Just take a few snapshots and send them to my email, and we'll get you on here and we can discuss what's going on in your garden as well. Okay, so is Judy on yet?
Yeah.
Great. There you go. She went to the NorCal Trade Show as a guest, and what'd you find out?
Well, it was fun. You know, I hadn't been before, so I got an invitation. Mike Crabe was very kind enough to send out an invitation to people, and so I signed up, and it was great because I got to see a lot of people that I know, which is always great. But there were a few things, quite a few people there, although Angel said that it's much smaller than it has been in the past. And these were a few of the vendors. I'm quite taken with this rainwater harvesting. It's a fold up
rain barrel. Yeah, that's nice.
I know, and he said it'll hold. I'm trying to remember how many it was, but it's quite large. But it's a new kind of material, and you can fold it up at the end of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is kind of nice around in California where it doesn't rain in the summer.
Right.
You don't have to be looking at it the whole time.
Right. Yeah. Or, you have to walk around it when it's on the side of your house or whatever.
Yeah.
There was a lot of vendors there. There was a guy that was growing out mushrooms, which was interesting. I'm always interested in growing out mushrooms. A lot of soil people. There were some regulatory folks from the state of California. They were talking a lot about the citrus pests. And it was interesting. I mean, I learned some things. One of the things was I didn't realize that Sunset Collection, the Sunset Plants, their headquarters are now in Alabama.
Oh, really?
I know. And these are plants for Western living. And I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, they grow them out here, but I guess that's just where their headquarters is. And then there was a vendor that I've patronized, and maybe some of you have too, that he does these iron kind of cut out of birds and plants. And, probably a lot of you have some of his stuff. But anyway, he wasn't selling there. But what is going to happen is that in April, Western Hort is going to be having a different kind of meeting. We're going to be playing Piet Odorf's film, and we're going to have some vendors there, and he's going to come up and he's going to bring some stuff to sell. So that'll be kind of fun, different kind of a meeting. Well, I found out that one of my favorite vendors for a soil evidently is packaged by another company under a different name. So now I can look for it under the name that I know is now the same company. So that was kind of nice.
Do tell.
Yeah. Well, I use Unigrow. I like the Unigrow cactus and succulent mix. And I've had trouble finding it here. I find it in Southern California all the time. And she says, oh, we packaged that for them. We just put their name on it. And I'm going like, oh.
And that's Ready Grow packaged here, correct?
Right. So that was kind of interesting. Any other questions about the show? It was interesting.
You can join as a guest. You don't have to be necessarily in the trade per se.
So Judy, where do you get Ready Grow here? Or did
I gotta call her. I'm going to call her and find out. I thought she said Yamagami's and maybe Golden. So I was going to go check that out.
Okay. Can you report back to us?
Sure.
I think.
Have you ever used that product?
No.
Golden sells, is it G and something?
G&B?
Yeah, I think that's what they sell there.
Well, she said they have it in this area. They're based in Sacramento. So they are kind of local.
Well, I found this picture on their website. I don't know what happened to you. This looks like Sherry Hall and Nancy Schramm, and that looks like Tosh. I'm not sure who that is or that, but anyway, where were you?
She looks familiar.
On the right.
The other lady is, she's in succulents.
This lady?
Oh, Melanie Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of fun seeing you guys on the website.
Oh, funny. Those are the people I saw while I was there.
Thanks for reporting back. Appreciate that.
That looks like Michael Crabe. Michael Crabe's back with the
that's
Lewin Miller.
That's Lewin Miller.
It was nice. I got to talk to Randy Baldwin from San Marcos Growers, and I'm from Santa Barbara, so we were talking about the old days in Santa Barbara because I guess they're going to sell that property and he's going to close next year.
Yep.
Oh,
2020. Get a field trip down there before they close.
Yeah.
We're kind of working on that. Thank you, Judy. Beryl, we have some pictures from your patio.
This is a repeat of last year's pictures. I mean, these pictures are from this year, but I have plants sitting in water that you would never think. They're just roots sitting in water like for months, and
Yeah.
they are extremely happy. I was hoping to identify each plant, but I didn't get around to that. Like the one on the left is the Sisyrinchium bellum. The plants on the upper right were sitting in water all last winter, and they
my.
still are. I mean, they are again. And the plants in the lower left are plants. They're two different manzanitas. The one with the red berries is I can't remember dowry, and to the right of that is another manzanita, and then to the left of that is a completely, totally root bound. Been in this little container forever. It's still,
Oh.
decided to flower. So the water doesn't, I mean, a lot of these plants are like orchids and things you would never think could stand sitting in, having their roots sitting in water for a couple of months at a time or more.
Normally, you would probably not recommend this, I would assume, but obviously they have a
Well,
tolerance for it.
I don't see why not. I mean, they're
Oh,
completely
God.
happy.
Well, the roots might have are maybe rotting. But since they're succulents, they can make a comeback. And I would imagine that the native plants, the Arctostaphyluses, grow sometimes where there's a lot of water and they sit in water in the winter because that's the way it is here. That would be my thinking.
I know.
And this
Usually
is-
you would think that you would recommend emptying those saucers in the wintertime, and then in the summertime they can slurp it up, but probably the natives don't want that in the summertime for sure.
Well, no, they wouldn't like that in the summer.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
the other reason not to have the saucers is because of mosquitoes, which I always am paranoid about that because we have West Nile out here.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments about that?
No.
Okay. And
Well, I just want to the photo to the left is a sedum and it's blooming now, still sitting in water. Okay, so hey Bart, do you agree that this is Claremont?
that's what
It's too hard to tell. You need more information. I mean, Claremont usually is very, very heavy flowering and very long flowered. But yeah, just not enough information.
Okay, so anyway, I keep this shrub contained to this size by not only doing structural pruning, but at the base of the plant, there's a lot of new growth always growing out of the base of the trunk. And I just pinch it off. I just keep pinching it off because I don't want it to be any bigger than it is now.
Okay, so you selectively prune the branches back to keep the size down, and then rub off the buds at the bottom.
Yeah, pinch off the buds at the bottom. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, the leaf buds. Yeah.
Very pretty. Okay, Judy, you're on again.
All right, so I misspelled this primula. It's ballerina, but it's just spelled Balerina, and that's the name of the series. And it blooms very reliably. It's been in a pot for a couple years, but I got it from Lorena. I think Lorena's here, who lives up in the Portland area. So it's a real pretty double primula.
Very pretty.
The one next to it is probably a lot of people familiar with Lacanalia mutabilis. Mutabilis means changeable or variable. This is a South African bulb, and it also blooms quite reliably for me.
So this is a Lacanalia, not a Muscaria?
No, it's a Muscari.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's a Lacanalia. You're right. It's a Lacanalia. Did I put down Muscari?
You
Sorry.
said Muscari, but then you're talking about Lacanalia, so I need to.
No, this is a Lacanalia mutabilis. I do have a Muscari I think I sent. And you can see it changes color and it gets really nice, tall, very narrow. And you can see it looks different than the Muscari Armeniatum. So this is a Lacanalia.
Got it. Okay, I'll change that on the, when we
Okay.
put the thing there.
But
Okey-doke.
if you, oh, and this is growing very well. I was gonna say, I got this, I think, from Dry Garden from Richard at one time. And it's just a really cute little plant, and it kind of looked crummy all summer. And I was thinking, gee, I wonder if I'm doing something wrong with it. But it's just a winter grower, and it's one that's not commonly seen, but grows quite well. So you can see they look like columns, and so that's what it's called, Crassula columella.
How long have you had it? I mean, the columns don't
I've
look very
had it
tall.
for, yeah, I've had it for about probably 4 or 5 years. They don't grow a whole lot taller than that.
Okay.
So they stay nice and small. Oh, and this is a collection. I've started collecting Echeveria agavoides, and it's very interesting. The one on the top and the one on the right are both ebony, which is supposed to be that really dark black kind of tips. But you can see the one on the bottom is more green. I think it is. I'm trying to think.
On the
And
right?
then the one, yeah, on the right. And the one on the top seems to be more blue-green. And I got that one over at Succulents Highway 92 some time ago, and it was really small, but it's been growing quite nicely. But it's really interesting to see how can I say, different seedling variation of Echeveria agavoides. And in the middle, in the left picture, there's one called corduroy. That big one is called corduroy. The one to the right of it is called lipstick. And I don't know the name of the one on the left.
Yeah, and if you don't get enough sun, yeah, they'll turn all green.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, they're right next to each other in the same place. So, and they've been in the same place for ages. So I don't know what it is.
I have one that's just pure green because it doesn't get enough sun.
Oh,
Grows fine, but you don't get the
oh,
advantage of the bright tips.
okay. So the one on the left, I'm asking for an idea. A neighbor gave it to me, and I think it's a Kalanchoa, but you know how it's like growing kind of in the middle of the leaf? And I was wondering if anyone knew the name of it.
That is weird.
Yeah, all the leaves seem to be a little, how can I say, odd. And so I was wondering if maybe it's just a sport or there's something wrong with it. But the two new leaves that have the growth right in the middle, I thought there must be a name for this cultivar.
Anybody?
No?
Well, it's still in the dark. Anyway, you prompted me to go look. I have this little Fumaria, which
Yes.
which I didn't know what it was before, but it kind of took over my back little bit of hill there last year, and I kind of liked it because it kind of filled in the blanks. And then it came up this year, and I didn't know what it was, and so I did my little identify on the
Naturalist?
phone, and it came up with this, which evidently is a very nice. Well, I don't know. It's a weed.
It can be quite weedy, actually. Yeah.
Well,
My
it kind of grows with the gallium, bed straw, and kind of grows with that, which is kind of a native weed. But anyway, but it's kind of nice and delicate. It reminds me of bleeding hearts, kind of. Anyway,
I agree with you. I like it too. I like the look of it, but I know can be invasive.
yeah, but it pulls out easy, and it doesn't
Oh.
grow in the summertime. It's just a winter thing. But
Mm.
anyway, I didn't know what it was, so I thought I'd share. And then Anne, who wasn't able to join us tonight, has this going on with, I think this is a cordyline. I would suspect maybe snails. Anybody else got any thoughts on this?
Or slugs. The fact that it's being eaten. Snails usually go on the edges. Slugs kind of often just go anywhere.
Yeah.
My
Mm.
experience. We probably have a lot of slugs in there.
Yeah, they kind of scrape the surface too. I think that's why I thought it
Yeah.
might be snails or slugs.
Bit of
Anybody
back-
have any other
slugs.
thoughts?
It also
You know,
could be botrytis, like a fungus.
What favors that? Is it wet soil, Lorena?
A botrytis, some kind of
Yeah.
a fungus that, because you've had a lot of rain and on and off, and I've had plants that look like that, and it's a fungus. If you can't find any telltale of a snail, then that would be my best guess. And there's a hole there.
I've been finding like really teeny, teeny, tiny slugs, so they probably could hide.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
Well, I'll have to have Ann
Maybe,
go on a
yeah.
slug hunt.
It could be all of the above.
We'll pass
It
that
looks
on.
like some of the leaves of the viola have holes in it.
Mm, yep.
I vote for slugs for that one, or snails.
Okay, slugs and snails or botrytis. We'll pass that on. Okay, a little sunshine this time of the year, a little yellow. These are Judy's as well.
Oh, let me see, get back into my, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is Chasmanthe floribunda ducketii. This is a variety that was found on the Duckett farm in South Africa. And I think everyone's used to the orange one that grows pretty readily, but I really like the yellow one, so I grow it a lot. And you switched them. So what it was is the other one was
Oh,
the Lacanalia, and this one is scary. So this
that one's
is
a
scary.
scary. I'll be
Oh,
doing
Yeah,
this.
This is the one that smells really great, right? I
oh,
used
it
to
does
this
have a
one.
wonderful
Yeah,
fragrance.
I lost
Yeah.
one. It just got killed by everything else that grows now.
I've
Yeah.
had this for probably over 10 years. I got it from the Siskiyou Rare Plant Nursery up in Oregon with what's his name? Who was the owner of that place? Italian name?
Don't know.
Mm.
But Suncrest used to make it available, and that's where I got my one.
Okay. But it does have a wonderful fragrance, and
Yeah.
it comes up reliably.
And you grow it in a pot, right?
I grow it in a pot, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fragrant, huh? I'll have to
Oh, it's really
my nose in that.
wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful. I wish I could send the smell across the waves here.
Me too. Okay, so we've got a yellow thing happening here. This is
Ah.
Kristen's.
Okay, so I went through my garden and just thought I would give you a rundown of my style. I know that there are some people that think I don't do a design or I have any design desires, which I don't in the normal way, but I do have design desires in the sense that I grow perennials primarily and they go dormant in the winter, obviously. And I wanted to have some structure and some color. And most of the time, I mean, I have a lot of flowers that are blooming too. You can even see some blooming here, but I also have a lot of leaf structure, and I found that this is the variegated Beschneria and the variegated yuccas really handle living in a perennial garden really easily. And they always look good. They never are affected. Well, we're not even getting cold anymore, but they are not affected by the cold.
Can you tell me, actually, Kristen, does that, what color are the flowers under Beschneria? Are they also the red and green?
They're, well, my Beschneria flowers kind of go into the pinks. And this one is a
Oh,
paler pink, but very pale. There's just hints of pink in it. And
huh.
the yucca is a white one, and it tastes like string beans. I don't know if people know that you can eat yucca flowers and they taste like string beans. And I eat them.
Yucca or the Beschneria?
Yucca. I'm pretty sure
Yucca.
Beschneria not is poisonous, but not yucca.
Hmm.
Then I have a variegated Buxus, and I was inspired when I led the group to North Carolina, but I don't remember the woman's name. She was very famous, and she had taken Buxus and naturalized it. It wouldn't shear it, and it just had this beautiful form on its own. So I planted a Buxus thinking it wasn't going to work, and that's always the problem. The stuff I think is not going to work does, and now it's getting bigger and bigger, and I don't want to prune it, but the variegated one has, I think I have not pruned this thing ever. And I think it has a very nice shape. And then the other one I only bring up because a friend of mine was visiting, and he's not really a gardening person, but he just fell in love with this euonymus, which is probably a Fortuné selection. So I get my yellow, which I love yellow in the garden, especially at this time of year because it's cold and gray and it warms up the environment. So I have been a daffodil fan for probably 30 years, and I had a client who had a Daphne in her terrace next to her house, and the thing was hanging by the roots and it was up high and it was hanging by the roots. And I realized that Daphnes from that I realized that Daphnes needed to be planted high. Now, Lewin Miller and I have gotten into discussions about this because he says they're virused and that's why you have to plant them high. My own feeling is that they naturally grow in mountains and cliff hangers. This is Daphne odora, obviously, and that's why you need to plant them high. And I just showed this one, which is Bruce. It's called Briggs Moonlight. I always wanted this, but it does. If you, I mean, you see rhododendron in there, but if you look, it's also reverting, and so it doesn't hold its variegation very well.
Well, I'm putting all the yellows together. So I'm putting Charlotte here.
Yeah, so these are just some of the smaller narcissus that are growing. The two on the left, I think I got from Bill the Bulb Baron a while back. And I'm not sure I think there was one called Sunspot and Autumn Colors and whatever. Anyway, they just keep coming back. They're cute. I believe the little one is probably Tay-to-Tay, which I've gotten over time, and just, later I find the bulbs in somewhere and lost the tag, so I just kind of poke them in places.
Well, you can't beat daffodils for reliability, I tell you. That it's always a nice hint of spring there.
Oh, and this is back to me. I buy a lot of primulas. You can get them in 6-packs if you go at the right time of year, which is early on in November. And I have a connection now at Sloats in Pleasant Hill. The woman will call me when they come in. And but what I always do is plant everything in the ground, and most of the times they don't work because I believe that a lot of gardening is location, location, location. But and this is another one I learned years ago, that you have to plant high because the crowns rot, especially in our clay soils. So this one, apparently I found the perfect location. It's multiplied up. It's probably the equivalent of 8 or 9 plants in there now. And it's in full bloom, and I don't do anything other than, water. And they go dormant, semi-dormant anyway. They don't stay evergreen or anything, but they always come back. They're very strong.
Some are fragrant, some are not.
And I can't smell them, so it doesn't matter to me.
Well, they're too low on the ground really to smell them anyway, but if they're in a pot, you can stick them up your nose.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Troy.
Here's a few more pinks for the winter garden.
My garden probably blooms as much in the winter now as in the summer. And the summer is not the peak bloom, really. Spring is the peak bloom and fall is the second. But I have a game plan that I want to satisfy, and one of them is to get all the different colors. And one of the plants that I have discovered is Anisodantia El Rayo, which used to be called stribing or something, is a runner in my garden. And this one never stops blooming, even when it gets cold. It just never stops blooming. By the way, we have not been cold this winter. If you don't believe in climate change, this winter would convince anybody.
Yeah, it's been so warm.
I mean, we're not even seeing frost anymore. I don't think we're going to see any more frost. And that kind of scares me because that's bad for the yellow jackets. They need that frost to kill them off. At any rate, I buy my Louisias in 6-packs. Again, Armstrong's, which no longer has nurseries up here, but they still sell plants, and they sell Louisias in 6-packs. But they only sell this stuff in 6-packs in late January, February, and by March, they're all gone. So I have a connection, and I go buy them every year because in 6-packs, they're the cheapest you can possibly get. And for me, because I'm not coastal, the Louisias don't do well in the summer. I lose a lot of them, and I found ways now to get them to summer over, believe it or not. That would be a strange phrase for a lot of you Bay Area people. And so I put them in the shade, and they get a little water, and they're not a dry grower for me because it's just too hot. But right now they're blooming, and most people don't think of them as a winter plant, but for me they are.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I also grow Louisias in pots under a lemon tree, and they seem to like that shelter really a lot, and they just do really well. Long as I keep watering them.
Yeah, but you're a lot cooler than I am.
Yeah, well, in the heat of the summer, when it's not foggy, it can get hot, but they like the shade of the lemon trees,
Yeah.
so they're
Yeah.
fine. Nice.
So I discovered a new dianthus, and this I did get at Grande's Hardware. It's called the Jolt dianthus. There are reds and pinks. And I was curious because I bought them, I think, in January, and I thought, well, this is blooming here. I wonder if it'll bloom where I am. And it is. And it has bloomed all winter. And I love to have winter color in pots because I do a lot of pots. And if anybody cares to have winter color, this is a great plant to put in. Last year, I got this hellebore, and I don't know its name, from Lewin Miller, and I sent him a picture of it. And it was on the 27th of February, and now we're at the 17th, and this is where they are at so far. But this will explode. And I mean, this plant gets to 2.5, 3 feet wide in hellebores, one plant. I have hellebores in other places in my garden. They struggle to put a few flowers up every year, but this one just explodes. And I'm sorry, my name recollection is getting very, very bad. And my gardener keeps throwing the tags away.
That didn't help.
Yeah. So just so you see.
I have a few in the same manner. A double one is just really massive blooms, and some of them don't even have any blooms coming up on them.
Yeah, it's
Oh, wow.
always I don't know if it's the hybrid or it's a location. You know, I'm not about to test this out, but it's pretty amazing how many flowers are on it right now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they cut and stay pretty well in a small pot. I bring them in sometimes just to have a little color indoors, just the flowers. And they last for, a week or two.
Well, I have
Pretty good.
under my maple trees, which again, I don't know what I planted years ago, but I never cut the seed heads off or anything on these. And that area is just reseeded unbelievably. And
Oh,
they're very
nice.
happy. And I don't know if Dick Turner's still here, but he was the one who told me that in nature, hellebores grow in fields. And so the fields, the grasses and everything die out in the winter, and then the hellebores emerge. And then in the summer, they are protected by the growing grasses. So my perennial garden basically protects these in the summer from the sun. So you don't have to grow them in the shade as long as you have something that grows in the sun in bigger than it and shades the plants. I thought that was very interesting too.
Okay. And then trolling winter weeds.
Right. So my daughter bought a ranch, and this is not the ranch. This is my property, but I just was out there today. She's on the east side of Mount Diablo, and she's got that horrible yellow thistle that was introduced by accident. If you ever read about it, and her gardener my gardener took the day and went there to swow a whole bunch of it out because she's just freaked out by how much she has. But I also brought to her today a bunch of bulbs that my paper white narcissus are receding everywhere. I now have to deadhead them, and they're always in places I certainly would never have planted them. And that's how I know they're receding, unless they run, which some bulbs actually do run, but I don't think narcissus do. I've never seen them produce running roots. But what I've learned is that all the winter growing bulbs, they need to be dry in the summer. And so this is in my fruit orchard that gets watered. Just the trees get watered and everything else does not. And Dick and I used to spend 20 hours a year weeding this. I mean, we've had friends over and I've had pictures of them weeding with us, and unbelievable. But now, because I have been doing this and they're getting denser, the weeds are less. I mean, unless you view the bulbs as a weed, but of course I don't. And they're prolific. And what I also recommend about doing this is that you don't cut the leaves off. You just leave them there, and then they act as mulch, and now they're feeding the soil. Now, it might be a look you don't like, and too bad for you. I find it a look, and the leaves just disappear by the time the growth starts again because the rains make them rot really fast in the fall and the winter. So it's something I recommend if you have land and you're trying to control it and you don't water it, just plant bulbs and you don't have to weed. And at my age, any chance you can get to have no weeds is a good thing.
Charlotte still on?
Well, I saw these berries and I swear they look like apples, but they're much smaller
Really?
than apples, but they sure had the coloring of apples. They're from my fuchsia cinerea.
Have you ever tasted them? You can eat all fuchsia berries. I understand there are none that are poisonous.
I haven't tasted this one. The seeds are really really crunchy and some are kind of peppery. I think Splendens has probably one of the nicer flavors, kind of a kiwi-like flavor. And people tell me Bolivianas tastes good as one of the better tasting of them. But some of them they're just moist and crunchy.
But I was reading this one was pretty sweet. So some guy's blog or whatever I was reading said he swipes them off while he's doing stuff and gets a sweet treat.
Oh,
So you're gonna have to report back.
whose blog is that, do you know?
I don't know, he's in San Francisco though.
Charlotte, how available is that fuchsia?
Oh, gee, I don't know. Are you looking for it? I can probably give you a cutting or give you the berries to try to grow.
Actually, I'd like a cutting. That's really a nice one, and I like the size.
Well, we'll have to get together on that.
And it's
Yes.
mite resistant too, evidently.
Yeah, I mean, lots of positives there.
Okay, so if anybody wants to host a coffee in the garden, we're looking for filling up the roster. Next month is Kip Michaels, who's actually offered a field trip as well. We haven't set that timing up. Most of the Calicortis are a little later. So he has an amazing garden with that he actually grows Calicortis in his garden and from seed. And so that'll be next month. I want to encourage everybody to participate in the plant forum. So until next month, thanks so much. We'll see you, everybody.